The topic is African American Unity for Success. And of course, we're talking to the pastor of the Hands of God Christian Church, Pastor Walker. And of course, Pastor Walker, let me continue our conversation during this last segment, dealing with some of the items or some of the barriers in a real sense to African American unity. And one of those items that I think that you've mentioned quite often has been some of the problems that are faced by many of our young people who have been incarcerated and who are coming out. Let's talk about it from that perspective.
I think because there is a lack of unity within the black race and within the black community, that a lot of people are getting misinformation. And I was fed the same misinformation that as a young black male that, you know, I wasn't really significant, you know, and even though I could see people of significance of my own race, but I was still taught that I was insignificant.
Very good.
And I would never amount to anything, but you're just, you know, just a regular run-of-the-mill coming everyday street hustler. And I chose that route, and a lot of our people are choosing that route today. And what is happening is, Dr. Haney, as a result of that, they are finding themselves incarcerated in the prison system, because there are more black males in prison than there are on college campuses. And you very well know that. But you know, the thing is, there has got to be a solution to that, and there's got to be a coming together, because you got to look at, and I need to touch this real quick, and that is when you got other cultures that come into our country, they create businesses and stuff, and they start businesses, and it's not that they have anything against any other culture, whether it be the Caucasians or black Americans or whoever, but the thing is that they have a respect and a nurturing for their own culture. So when they start a business, they hire within their own culture. It's not that they don't have anything, that they have anything against us. It's just that that's the way they do, because they're united and they're supporting each other. So we have to look at that as well. And when it comes in terms of supporting especially the black males that are getting incarcerated in our prison systems and are coming back into our society and that don't have that support that they need to become productive, because now you know, you got the strikes against you. You used to be able to say, you know, without thinking that, you know, well, I got one strike, I'm black. Well, you can't even really use that. The strike you got now is that you have a felony conviction on your record, which shuts doors in your face. So it's going to take some black people getting together, creating some businesses, and to be able to give these black men and women, of course, too, chances when they're coming out of the system to be employed. And you got to put that trust. See, whereas they use fear, we got to remove that fear. We can't have that fear of helping them and moving them along. We can't have that distrust of them just because they committed a crime. And we can't be envious. You know, a lot of times you're not going to envy somebody coming out of the system anyway, unless they come out and then they start excelling. Then people will start envying them. But that's a part of that mindset, that mentality that we have. But Dr. Haney, that's some solutions that, you know, and I think one of the things, the churches got to become proactive in this thing.
Very good.
I think pastors need to really make it included in them. If they're not going to include it in their sermons, then they need to have, like I have in my church, I have a part in my church service called Pastor's Moment. And I address different issues about voter registration and anything that I feel like is pertinent to people knowing and that's going to be pertinent to their growing. And I think we need to do that and encourage, you know, the unification of our people as a whole, in terms of buying businesses and helping other people and just coming together as a whole in our communities and stuff like that, because Dr. Haney, if we don't do it, it won't get done.
You know, and another thing, I think that we're dealing with historical black colleges. I think that that's another item that could benefit with African-American unity, because many of our institutions are not being supported.
That's true.
And especially when many of these institutions are giving us the great degrees, you see, and I ought not to say this, because I also received a great degree from a historical black college, and I've not done all that I could possibly do in terms of support. But we need more of that, you see, and I need to become more involved in that, because these institutions served as a major method whereby we were able to move, but after we were able to move, then we don't have the kind of unity that could reach back and provide the financial resources for these institutions.
And it would be a shame upon us as a people, as a black American people, to allow historically black colleges to fold and disappear. I mean, that would have been an indictment against the black race to let that happen, to sit back and watch that thing happen. You know, regardless of if you have been in college or you have haven't been in college, but the thing is that these places, they do exist, and I feel like we're obligated to do whatever we can to make sure that they stay in existence and not be something that folds and fades away. You know, you just can't watch stuff, you know, going down the tube and then just wave goodbye. You can't do
without
that.
it having some impact upon you.
Absolutely.
And of course, what I think the two of us are saying now is that this is one of the elements that will create the kind of unity that we need simply by at least rallying around some of the things that we believe in and some of the positive things that we believe in.
And you know, some people would say, and I want to say this, some people would say that, you know, if a black person got a store, then they're going to sell their products higher. And in some situations they do. So I encourage those store owners, business people, to make their products comparable, you know, to the products that they can go and get anywhere else. And then folks to trust in your people that are doing these things, that are in business, and support them. Help them do what they do. I mean,